Noorsiah, for being here with us today. And Noorsiah, I understand you're from G8 Education Singapore. So what are the different preschool brands that G8 owns?
G8 Education Singapore actually owns 3 different brands. They are Sherry Hearts, Bright Juniors, and our Junior Schoolhouse. We provide service for children ranging in age from infancy right up to kindergarten. We deliver established curriculum written in-house together with other enriching programs on top of that as well.
Many moms out there, they want to know exactly what is the ideal age to start preschool?
I think before I answer that question, it's important to contextualize it. In the Singapore scenario, when a parent decides to actually look for a preschool for their child, their decision is most of the time decided by the fact that they have to get back to the workforce. So it's not a situation where it's a choice, right? So having said that, there is no magical age at which a child is ready for preschool. Readiness for school is more often than not dictated by where the child stands developmentally. And by that I mean different domains of development, which includes social, emotional, physical, as well as cognitive. So it's this readiness in each of these domains that is going to determine how easy that transition is going to be from home to school care. And on top of that, other things that parents may need to consider would be things like how ready a child is in self-help skills. Things like being able to dress himself, undress himself, feed himself, hold a spoon, is he potty trained? And in some households, some children have the luxury of not just parent care, but also grandparents, perhaps a nanny, a babysitter, or a helper. So in situations like that, I think it's important for that unit to come together to make a decision as to whether it's time for the child to start preschool. Because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where parents decided it's time for preschool and grandparents don't quite agree. And then that's the reason for dissent in the home front, which is not healthy. So I think it's important to always get a consensus among everybody who's involved in the care of that child to make that decision together. And beyond that, of course, there's also the issue of separation that you have to deal with, right? And separation, no doubt, is difficult for both parties, child and family, but parents should rest assured children are versatile, they're adaptable, they would adjust in time, in a matter of time.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about a bit more about separation anxiety, and especially I think on the part of the parents as well. Right. Because most of the time, you know, parents are the ones that's going through. Why is preparing for preschool actually important, and how does it affect the child?
Okay, I think as adults in a child's life, it's very important to empathize with the fact that the transition from home care to group school care it can be a very big transition for a child. It can be daunting. It could even be traumatic for some children. So what we want to do is we want to lessen that impact of change on that child. And the best way to do that is to prepare them for that experience that they're going to have in school. And how are we going to do that? Would be to actually try to replicate the experiences that the child is going to have in school prior to the child actually beginning school. So some of the ways would be to replicate the experiences that a child is going to have in the preschool experience, right? And once again, I want to contextualize this again. In the Singapore household, it's very common to have living domestic helpers. And when that is the case, what happens is children are very rarely left to do things for themselves. To establish independence. So my first recommendation would be to withdraw some of that help, especially when you're preparing child for preschool, because the primary focus in preschool would be to help a child to establish independence and to become more able to do things for themselves. So what you want to do is to start this experience at home and give your child opportunities to do things for himself. Simple things like undressing himself. You know, maybe you would be wanting to, undress him for a shower. He might say, let me do it myself, to pull the shirt off or to pull down his pants or little things like that. Allow him to do it. And, sometimes when children need to put on their socks or shoes, give them a little more time. Start your preparation a little earlier so that you have that luxury of a few more minutes to allow them to do it for themselves. These experiences at home would prepare them for the experiences that they are going to have in school. On top of that, even when simple act of going out to the playground to play, that's something that they would do when they are in preschool. So as parents, we want to also expose them to that experience. And as a parent, when you take your child to the playground, you may have a tendency to be overly protective and hover over them. Remember that when they are in a school setting, yes, there will be adults to supervise and watch over them, but they are not going to have this one person following and shadowing them.
That's true.
So you have to allow the child to go explore, climb up that slide, come down that slide, I'll be right here to catch you. So give that little bit of distance in preparing them for the school experience.
Okay. So back to the point about self-help skills, is it necessary for the kids to have these self-help skills before they enter preschool, or some of the children might still be developing and working on those skills?
Yes, I totally understand that, because it's not to say that they have to be fully ready to do these things on their own. And as you know, in preschool, parents may choose to start preschool at different stages, right? Because we range from infancy right up to kindergarten. So children could come to us at the playgroup age, or at the nursery level age, or the kindergarten age. So it really depends. So expectations are set according to developmental milestones of that age group. So if you're talking about an 18-month-old, naturally the expectation would not be that they should be able to do these things all independently yet. But they must be prepared for that experience that school is going to give them the opportunity to practice these skills. So if parents can start this practice at home, it makes that transition smoother and more seamless between home and school.
Yeah, I think most households, like you mentioned, the kids are being taken care of by grandparents or nanny or even the helper. So, and I think most of the time, these helpers could be doing most of the work for them, right? Like putting on shoes, dressing, and even feeding the children. So I think the parents out there definitely need to let go and let the kids learn on their own, right?
Yeah, so very true, because it's a natural tendency, if you observe children, they would hit a point where they would tell you, I want to do it by myself. Let me do it myself. Things like that. So when children start giving you that kind of indications, you have to take the cue. So a lot of times it's impatience that stops parents from giving them that opportunity to practice that skill. So give them a little time, allow them to do it, because that's how they develop independence, and independence leads to a higher level of self-esteem and self-confidence, and all of that comes into play. So that's something that parents have to make a conscientious effort to do, whether they're ready for school or not, but like I said, school experience promotes these things. So that's what's going to happen when they start preschool. So if parents can help to start this process at home, the transition will be very smooth.
So let's just pretend that I'm a mom and I've decided to put my child in preschool. So any tips for me on preparing him?
Okay. Before we go into actually preparing your child, I want to say one important thing. I think it's your excitement and your positive energy that is going to dictate whether this journey is going to be a positive one, or whether it starts on the right footing or not. So beyond that, if you have already decided where your child is going to be, where he's going to be placed for his education, a good point to start would be to ask the school for a copy of the daily schedule. The reason I say this is because as a parent, it's good for you to know what his routine is going to be for that day. And as I said earlier, right, it's always important to prepare a child before he actually has to encounter that experience. So with a copy of the daily schedule, that will give you an opportunity to replicate what's going to happen in school. Play out the day for him. It's breakfast, and then it's quiet, there's quiet play, there's loud play, there's outdoor time, there's lunch time where teacher's going to be doing this for you, and then you will go in for your shower, and then there's nap. So you are actually playing out the day for him, in doing this, in establishing the routine. And then on top of that, as a parent, you can also role play this experience for your child. Take on the role of the teacher, take on the role of the parent, take on the role of the child. You'll say, this is what's going to happen when I take you to school. Mommy's going to wave bye-bye to you. I'm going to give you a big hug. I'm going to give you a big kiss. And then I'm going to go to work, and I will come back. I will come back. That message is very, very important. So this role play would prepare your child. Oh, this is what's going to happen. This is what I can anticipate. In addition to that, if your child is a little bit older, books from the library. There are lots of resources in the library that talks about children's first experience in school. Why is this important? It's because sharing such books with children gives you a chance to equip them with the necessary vocabulary to express themselves. Whether, if a child is going to feel, how is he going to feel? Is he going to be nervous? Is he going to be worried? Is he going to be excited? Is it going to be fun? All these words, when you equip children with this vocabulary, you are enabling the child to be able to come back and relate to you what his experience in school was like. And of course, another step to take would be in preparation for the school experience. Just before it happens, schools would always have a packing list for you to prepare all the items that your child is going to need. So that's important that you get this done. Don't assume that your teacher is going to recognize your child's belongings because she's got a number of children, not just one. Make sure your items are all labeled very clearly. And then comes actual school day, right? You have to deal with the separation. You have to say bye. Your child has to say bye to you. So the first few days, most preschools will allow you to spend the day with your child, or at least a couple of days with your child. Use that opportunity to explore the environment with your child, entice him to go and explore, entice him to create a bond with his teacher who's going to be taking care of him. And then he will know that, Mummy Base is here for me while I explore this new environment, while I get used to the new faces, and then eventually as you wean yourself, it will be a much more seamless transition.
So is it more advisable for the parent to, stay with the child, accompany the child during activity time during the first few days, or we should, ask the child to go and play with your friends, go and play with your teachers, because that day when we really have that the parent can't be in the classroom, that's going to be a bit difficult.
Actually, in all of our centers, we encourage our parents to spend the first couple of days with their child in the classroom, simply because you have to understand that this is an entirely new environment, new adults, and you're uprooting your child from a secure base of home into a new environment. So it would be good if you can be present as your child establishes himself in this new environment, and at least a little chance to get familiar with the adult faces that he's going to have to be with. So I would strongly encourage, as far as most preschools would allow it, and I would prefer that they do, seize this opportunity to explore the environment with your child. And it's also an opportunity for you to get to know your teacher, right? Your child's teacher. That would be a good time for you to share with with the teacher, the different interests of your child, or what makes him happy, what upsets him. So that'll be a good time for you to share with the teacher as well.
Is there anything that we parents can do to make the transition to preschool easier for our children?
I think even before we go into this concept of going into preschool, I think it's very important for parents to establish a strong bond with your child. Work on that connection, work on that strengthening that base that you're going to provide for your child, emotional security, a secure base for him to fall back on. And that's very important. And never ever betray your child's trust. By that I mean, sometimes parents feel that it's easier to disappear without saying goodbye. A lot of parents do that. I would strongly discourage that, because you are really betraying your child's trust when you do that. It's a lot better for you to actually come up to your child and say, Mommy's got to go now.
Even though the child's crying away.
I know that can be hard. That can be very hard for a parent to witness your child wailing while you're trying to bid farewell and leave for work. But it's very important that you do that, because then the child will internalize the fact that when Mommy gives me a hug and a kiss and waves to me and walks away, she's going to come back. Because you're going to do this every day to your child, and you're going to be very reassuring. You're going to say, be a good boy, you have your nap, and when you wake up and you have tea, as soon as you're done with tea, Mommy will be here to get you and deliver as promised. So once you do this, you are establishing your child's trust in you, and he will know how to associate that motion of Mommy waving and walking away. She's going to come back. So the child is going, yes, he's going to cry. Yeah. You know, the duration of crying is going to reduce over the days, and he's going to learn that she is coming back. Yeah. But this thing about disappearing without saying goodbye, you will arouse a lot of insecurities in your child, because he's not going to know when you're going to disappear, when you're going to appear. Yeah. You have not set motion of actions in place for him to associate it with. So that is arousing insecurities in your child. Don't do that. And sometimes parents also seek pleasure in just hiding behind the wall, and then they'll see the child cry, and that for some reason gives them that feeling that, oh, my child adores me and is going to miss me when I'm gone. Don't do things like that, because once again it betrays your child's trust in you, because you're not telling him that you're going away, you're not telling him that you're coming back. So always be sure to bid farewell. As hard and painful as it is, I guarantee you that it'll get easier with time.
Yeah, the first time I had to, say goodbye to my girl, when she started preschool, I left the school in tears as well.
Yeah, that's
really hard.
That's a common sight for us in preschool when parents have to say bye. It's not just the child we have to worry about, but it's also the adults. Fortunately, separation anxiety in the adults is a lot easier to deal with. Yeah. Like I said, maybe the initial period when a child is crying so badly when you're leaving, that's going to be really hard for you. But like I said, children are very adaptable, very versatile. They will adjust. They will adjust to the routine, and they thrive on routine. As much as adults may enjoy spontaneity and surprises, children thrive on routine. The faster you establish this routine for the child, the faster he's going to adapt and adjust to it.
I actually heard, from some of my mummy friends, and this particularly also happened to me when I started my boy in childcare. So what happened was that my boy, after attending a few days in school, when he came back home, he started having nightmares at home, and his appetite was affected, and he refused to even shower because I think there's like developing some phobia, and so I think the question now that is like, is this actually normal, and is there something that we are not doing right, or we could have done to prevent it from happening?
Okay, the thing to understand is that children generally are not very verbal in the sense to be able to express exactly what's going on with them. So stresses in children manifest in many different ways. They could have nightmares, they become more clingy, they start hitting a sibling when they didn't used to do that before, or and reasons for these things could be many. Be overtiredness, it could be illness, it could be some traumatic happening that has may have occurred for them, many different reasons. So it just manifests in many different ways. So to be specific about nightmares, I think what's more important is how parents address it when it happens. Right? Children take cues from adults. When these episodes invoke anxiety in parents, and they get all rattled, and why is this happening, that kind of reaction will kind of like feed that anxiety that the child is feeling as well. So it's very important to remain calm, remain neutral, do acknowledge the fact that the fear that the child is feeling is very real, so acknowledge that. So the best thing that you can do is, if he should have a nightmare, sing a song to him, pull out a book and read to him, or simply just cuddle with him. But at all times, maintaining your calmness and your neutrality in dealing with him at that point in time. But be careful about the solution that you put into place, because it's very easy for children to develop bad sleeping habits. So when things like that happen, don't be too quick to crawl into bed with him and spend the whole night with him, or bring him into bed with you, because this can just be hard to break afterwards. So calmness, just be neutral, be calm, handle the situation as calmly as you can. As to why it happens, like I said, stress manifests in many different ways in children. So as parents, we can only manage it as it happens, and then help him to see through that episode, that for whatever reason that he might be feeling it. As for shower, maybe like I said earlier on, it's important to replicate what happens in school at home so that he gets used to that experience. So maybe the shower was something different. Maybe he takes a bath in the tub at home, but when he went to school, he had to use a shower head. So that experience may have rattled him a little bit. So simple things like that. Always communicate with the teacher what's going on in school, and then bring it home. Practice it with him at home and talk him through that process so that he will know better how to handle it.
I think it's good to know that exactly from the school's perspective, what are some of the ways that parents can work with the school to make sure that the child adapts well to a new environment.
First off, I think the most important thing is communication between home and school. That is something that needs to be established from the onset. So it'd be very important, even as you first enroll your child in the preschool, for you to ask the principal, ask the school teacher, what is your norm as far as communicating with the home is concerned? How do you usually communicate? What's the best way to be in touch with you? Is it a phone call? Is it email? Is it text message? What is the mode of communication? That's very, very important. A partnership. We strongly advocate homeschool partnership in all of our centers, and we believe that it's very important for success in a child. There has to be partnership between home and school. And as parents, I think it's important for you to always be present, be involved, and be in touch with the school. Maintain constant communication. Partake in activities that the school organizes. In our centers, we organize numerous activities throughout the year because we like to have parents present in our environment together with the teachers and together with the children. So we seize various opportunities, whether it's festivals or celebrations. We open our doors, we invite our parents to come in, come and play some games with the children, with the school, partake in activities, games, sports days, things like that. So any opportunity that arises for you to actually be a part of a school activity, seize it and make sure that you do go. So that's how you establish a bond, with the school. It's not just your child who's establishing a bond with the school, but as a family, there has got to be healthy harmony between home and school. And that would lead to the success of your child's well-being.
That's really good advice. Okay, so in terms of safety, and with kids at even 18 months, what are some of the basic safety rules that parents should talk to their child about before they start preschool?
Well, as you know, when it comes to safety, I guess I can safely reassure parents, as far as our centers are concerned, safety measures are always in place. It's part of the licensing requirement, even, to ensure that the environment is absolutely safe for children. So to answer your question as to how parents can prepare children, it really depends on the age of the child, right? Communication, constant communication with your child is very, very important. So depending on his age, if he's old enough to understand what you're saying to him, simple things like make sure you always listen to your teacher, and listen to what she's telling you that you can do and you can't do. If it happens to be a day, maybe it's a field experience, an excursion day, reminders at home would never hurt. Remember to always look after your teacher, stay close, don't wander off by yourself, listen to what she's telling you to do, and if any stranger should speak to you, be careful not to answer, go straight to your teacher and tell her, and tell her about it. Simple classroom things would be like, when teacher gives you a pair of scissors, you have to be very careful because scissors are dangerous, you might hurt your friend, just simple things like that. But I think parents pretty much can rest assured that teachers are trained to make sure that safety is of utmost importance in the classroom. So as far as parenting, it shouldn't be any different at home, right? Whatever your child is taught to do at home, the same should apply in terms of be careful. They may have younger siblings where you would say, be careful, be careful of your little sister or your little brother, don't hurt him, simple things like that. So it's the same thing, in school it's among friends, and at home maybe it's a sibling.
Okay. Let's just take it that now, the parents are not allowed to accompany the child in the classroom anymore. So, you know, do you have any tips out there for our viewers on how to let go?
Yes, that day will come, right? Yes. I think it's important. Like I just want to bring you back to what I had said earlier about the preparation process that takes place before the school experience actually begins. Once again, I want to reinforce the importance. Remember, I said how role play, how the day is going to play out, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, by this time, you know, if you had spoken enough with your child, and in the first few days that you were with him, he would more or less already have an idea as to how the day is going to play out. Yes, when that day comes where you actually have to, you know, let him go by himself, he's going to cry and be upset. But like, you know, you just repeat, you know, remember what mommy said, you know, this is going to happen, this is, you know, teacher will take care of you, and then mommy will be back, and you know, we will be together again. So it's just a matter of being firm, but very lovingly nudge your child towards his teacher to say that, you know, teacher so-and-so will be here, don't worry, she's going to take care of you. Wouldn't you, Miss Mary? You know, like that. Just kind of like just play it up a little bit in front of that child and have little tit-tat with the teacher to say, yes, of course, I'm going to be here, you know, until mommy comes back, you know, a little drama usually helps. So with children, it's always, you know, appearing to be confident and acting like it's no big deal, you can handle this. It's only when parents let their anxieties, you know, come out and be evident to the child, that's when children have, you know, feel a little rattled and unsure. But if they see you looking like, it's no big deal, you can do this, then, you know, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think it's also like, you know, some parents actually leave for a while and then come back and they take a peek. And then the worst part is with the child sees the mom and, you know, so I think that's also important, right?
Yeah, exactly what I said earlier, right? You know, establish that trust. Once you've given him his hug and his kiss and you've waved goodbye and you walked out that door, please stay out of that door. You know, don't let him see you again, because he's like, what are you trying to do? You already said bye and you left. Why are you back here again? You know, so be very consistent in how you deal with children. Consistency is important. Consistency, routine, and they will get it. They will nail it. So parents don't have much to worry about in that regard.
Okay, very good advice. Thank you, Noorsiah, for being here with us today and sharing all this great advice for all the anxious parents out there. So any parting words for our viewers?
I guess before I go, what I would like to reassure parents is that when you decide to start on this journey of putting your child or placing your child in a preschool, always remember that you are entering into a partnership with the school that you have selected for your child. It's not a place where you are going to enter to find faults with what they're not doing right with your child, but rather you are there to share with these caregivers that you are entrusting for your child to transfer the attachment focus from you to school, and you are going to do the best you can to make this transition as a smooth one as possible for your child. So I just want to reassure parents to say that as early childhood educators, we are trained professionals. At G8 Education, in all of our centers, we constantly believe in providing ongoing trainings for our teachers to make sure that they stay on top of things, they are kept abreast with new research in the field, to make sure that they are providing the best care that they possibly can. So having said that, that is the school's part. So the home's part would be to ensure that there is healthy harmony between home and school. So this would be very important, and if parents enter this journey with the correct mindset, it's going to be a very fun and pleasurable experience for not only your child, but for you as the family as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.